What's up, raiders? Welcome back to another gun guide video for ARC raiders. This video today covers the Renegade, which is a very much requested weapon for this video series. So I'm glad that I'm finally able to bring it to the channel. Now, right off the bat, I can tell you that the Renegade is a battle rifle of the rare variety. It uses medium ammo. It has a lever action firing, so it's shoot, load, shoot, load, shoot, load. And then once you deplete the magazine of 8 bullets, then you essentially swap in a brand new mag and you go from there. Now, this is what I would refer to as a high precision weapon, and therefore being accurate with this and putting your shots on critical parts as well as on, you know, like the soft parts of humans, aka heads, is definitely what you want to be trying to do, because that's going to really make this gun shine a lot. Now, that being said, since it is a medium ammo weapon, it still deals a lot of damage per bullet, and so this weapon is, I would say, relatively equally good at dealing with clankers as well as dealing with humans. So you can kind of like take this out of the gun rack and go hunting humans as well as ARC, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Now, in terms of upgrading it from a Renegade 1 to a Renegade 4, that is going to buy you two very, I would say, important upgrade modifiers. First of all, you're going to get 50% reduced dispersion recovery time at a Renegade 4, which is really good. Once again, this is just your recovery in terms of like the bloom and the dispersion of the weapon as it stretches open. And then your other very important modifier that you're going to get from leveling up to a 4 is 75% increased fire rate. Now, again, with this weapon, since it is lever action, you're not going to be one-tapping much of, unless it's got like low HP or something like that. So you are going to have to worry about follow-up shots. So the dispersion recovery time matters here, but also firing rate matters. You want to be able to put as much lead downrange as fast as possible, as fast as you can, and therefore an increased fire rate is good here. So I absolutely do believe it tends to be the case that the blue weapons, I believe, are very good candidates for going all the way to level 4. Something that I see oftentimes talked about in the comments is any upgrade that you get from upgrading the level, which increases your TTK, is generally considered a must-have, and I do agree with that as well. So absolutely a good idea to take this one to the level 4. Now, just looking at the gun by itself, of course, you load in one bullet at a time. And loading it up here, you can of course fire from the hip like this, and you can see we can go relatively fast. It has a fairly big dispersion when those bullets come out, and you also do see that we're getting some vertical pull up here and some horizontal drift to the right as well. Of course, because I said this is a high precision weapon, you can of course aim down sights as well. And honestly, I believe that's where this weapon starts to shine, because you can be despite the fact that I'm not being very accurate right now, you can of course be very accurate. As mentioned oftentimes by my commenters, I appreciate this. Crouching is obviously a good idea as well, because you can get nice and accurate with this as well. Just by itself here, the base version of this is super accurate. Bullets go exactly where you're aiming it to be, and you can get them out relatively fast with a level 4 of this. So by itself, the gun is really nice. Now, in terms of the modifications that we can put on the Renegade, we have a muzzle mod, we have a magazine mod, and we have a stock mod. Now, in this particular video today, I'm going to work from backwards to front, because the front attachments is going to kind of like be determined by what you actually want to be doing with this weapon. So first things first, should you be putting a kinetic converter on this weapon? No. no, you should not. So the kinetic converter is, don't get me wrong, I'm a massive fan of this little legendary modification that goes, because it increases the fire rate of a weapon while also increasing the vertical and horizontal recoil. This could be really good on fully automatic weapons, because it can get bullets out even faster, which will just increase your TTK even more. But particularly in this weapon, since I said it's a precision weapon, you want to be hitting chest and head on humans to really maximize on that damage. And when it comes to killing ARC with this, of course, you want to be accurate with those bullets on hitting like thrusters and stuff like that, if you're using this to pull like rocketeers from across the map and stuff like that. So accuracy is key. It doesn't matter if you're shooting 15% faster. If, you know, like 70% of those bullets are missing, then, you know, who gives a shit? So the point is, yes, you are seeing an increase in fire rate with the kinetic converter, but as you can see, we have massive bloom, we have massive dispersion, bullets go all over the place. If you're the kind of person that feels comfortable with fighting that level of disaccuracy or misaccuracy or whatever you want to call it, please feel free to go. However, I do believe that this weapon is not one of the, I would say, best candidates for a kinetic converter, but you do you, boo. All right, so then again, working from the bottom here, lightweight stock seems like a good idea for us here. Lightweight stock is, for example, is good on something like the Pharaoh because it gets you to that pinpoint accuracy a lot faster due to the fact that the lightweight stock has 200% increased ADS speed. However, the lightweight stock has some very bad deficits in it as well. It has a 50% increased vertical recoil and a 50% increased recoil recovery time. With this weapon, your follow-up shots are super important. The first shot, you can be very accurate with that one, but then you're also going to want to be semi-accurate with the second and the third shots because those will most likely be your kill shots. And so in that case, yes, you can get on that very accurate super fast, but then the point is when you do that, then it becomes a little bit difficult. And here I can hit some of them, but the point is that's not that far. When we start stretching the distance out, it becomes a little bit difficult to land those. Now, yes, with the add-on of some other modifications, we can lessen the problem that we see here from the lightweight stock. But again, I feel like we have better options here when it comes to what we can put into our stock slot. Padded stock is the next one that we can talk about. Padded stock basically has reduced vertical recoil, reduced horizontal recoil. It has reduced per shot dispersion, so some really good stats on there. Padded stock is incredibly good for stability of a weapon, and because stability generally lends to more accuracy, it kind of like seems like this is a no-brainer. However, you have some very bad deficits on the padded stock. You have some increased equip time and some increased unequip time. If you are running the Renegade and another gun, then this is something that is going to start bothering you because your switch time between those weapons and switching to your wrench and stuff like that is, or your raider tool, is going to take longer. 20% might not seem like a lot, but it fucking adds on, that's for sure. So this is not that great. And then we have the 30% increase reduced ADS speed, which means we take 30% longer to actually ADS down. So this is going to start making this feel very sluggish. You can see there that aim down sights is not really nice feeling at all. And basically in general, the additional sort of like anti-vertical and anti-horizontal recoil and stuff that you get is good and does feel sexy, but that ADS is brutal. Just really not good. If there was a light version of the padded stock, like a diet padded stock, that had less of those stats, maybe like 10% reduced and 10% reduced per shot dispersion, but didn't have the negatives, then that would probably be one of the really good attachments for this weapon. But as it stands right now, that increased ADS speed is just not, or rather the reduced ADS speed, look, the wording is terrible on that. That longer ADS speed is just not worth it. That brings us to stable stock. So once again, here you have two choices. The stats on the stable stock are great. Doesn't matter which one of the two you take. Stable stock 2 has 35% reduced recoil recovery time and 35% reduced dispersion recovery time. So that's very strong for us on this weapon. It's going to start making those follow-up shots feel very sexy with this. You can just kind of like keep just pushing range and let down range. Here we go. And you can get really precise with this, is what I'm trying to say. Now, we also do have the stable stock 3, which just makes those benefits even more. So now you go to 50% reduced recoil recovery time and you go to 50% reduced dispersion recovery time. But you again have this increased equip time penalty, very much similar to what we saw on the padded stock. So my advice to you here would be the following. First of all, some people will argue and say that 20% increased swap time is really not that big a deal, so who gives a shit? So to you, I say take the stable stock 3. And other people will also say, well, I'm only going in with the Renegade, so I don't give a shit. And in that case, yeah, agreed, take the stable stock 3. However, if you are going to be gunfighting and let's say perhaps you are running the Renegade for your long to medium engagement and then something like a Stitcher or so or a Bobcat for that close finish off, or if a person is right up in your face and pushing you, then in those cases I would advise you to stick with the stable stock 2, because in the long term that's going to feel like a much more responsive way for you to play, and you're going to feel that you're going to be able to switch between your loadouts much quicker and be able to respond to people pushing you much better. So either which way, these two work for me. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to keep the stable stock 3 on and basically work from there. So our next slot is going to be the medium magazine slot, okay? And for that, the best of the best is obviously the extended medium mag 3, okay? This is going to give us another 12. So instead of having 8 in the magazine, we're going to go all the way up to 20. Now this plays like into a very important position for this weapon if you are using this to essentially start off gunfights from far away, whether this is against humans or whether this is against Ark. More rounds inside the magazine before you have to do a full magazine swap is going to make a world of difference, for example, on a rocketeer that is flying in on you from super far away, and you essentially just start plinking away at the engines on that rocketeer. And oftentimes they're not, if you run into one of these dud rocketeers that's just going like just flying at you like that, before it speeds up and shoots that first volley of rockets, you're going to be through 1.5 engines already. And that's because you have more bullets inside the magazine, and that gives you more time that you can essentially you can't really mag dump with this weapon, but that you can follow up shot, load the whole time, and basically just peel away at the enemy. So really good for that. More rounds here for us, more in the bigger magazine size is super good. I would suggest that at the very least you put a common mag mod on here if that's the only thing that you can afford. But this is legitimately one of the best feeling things in this weapon is a bigger mag size. Also do bear in mind though that this makes the loading animation to get you from 0 rounds to 20 rounds super long. So as you can see, when you start emptying the magazine and just going ham on this and shooting out bullets, everything, this is now with the 20 rounds in the magazine. We can have a lot of lead that we can sling out when just past halfway on the magazine there. So I'm just going shooting. You're just slinging lead out. And now when you start reloading, you'll notice that this takes actually quite a bit of time to go from 0 rounds all the way up to 20 again. So the load is very long for the full 20 to replenish the entire magazine. So some muscle memory for you here that can help a lot is to actually, because I think it's very seldom that you're going to be in a position that you're going to stand still enough in one area to empty all 20 on one target that's not going to try and move, not going to try and return fire, not going to try and push you, not going to fly at you with rockets or anything like that. So in that case, muscle memory here that can help you in the long term is to actually shoot out a few bullets, and then when you reposition or you wrap or you swap shoulders or you peek out another hole or something like that, in that transition phase there, you actually pop a couple of rounds back into the magazine. That means that you're always going to be topping it off, and that way you're never going to get into that position where you literally have to kill time while you're loading all the way up to 20 or load up to like 5 or 6 or 7 so you can finish the fight. So just something that you have to kind of like get into and do, and over time that's actually going to, mean a lot for you. And then last but not least, we get to the muzzle mod. Now, again here, feeding into what we're trying to do with this weapon, we want it to be a precision weapon, and we want to get as much as possible from the stats of our modifications. I feel like right off the bat, the muzzle brake is dismissed here. The reason why I dismiss the muzzle brake is, yes, reduced vertical and horizontal recoil is good. Always good. It gives for more, accuracy and everything like that, and less you having to fight with the recoil on the weapon. However, what we can get from the other attachments which are available in the modification slot for the barrel or for the muzzle is rather better than what we can get from the muzzle brake. So while the muzzle brake does feel good in terms of like the overall control of the weapon, because now you just have even better harnessing of dealing with that recoil pattern, we can see better stuff here. And essentially we have two schools of thought here. So I'll present you with the option of, if you are primarily going to use this weapon to engage human beings, okay, so you're going to use this to hunt other raiders, and you're going to use it in more of a close to medium capacity, I would consider the Compensator 2 to rate higher for me. And that's because the Compensator 2 has two very specific modifiers on here which are great. It has the 40% reduced per shot dispersion, and it has 20% reduced max shot dispersion, which means that overall you're going to have an attachment which is really helping you to be as accurate as possible while being very mobile and essentially sometimes shooting from the hip and also sometimes shooting ADS. And all of this is done in a, let's say, up to medium, a little bit more than medium distance from you. It makes the weapon feel very good in a gunfighting perspective, and essentially dealing with, other players that are pushing you and you constantly having to adjust distance and stuff like that. This means that you are going to be as accurate as possible pretty much, all the time. And I'm a big advocate of the Compensator on pretty much every weapon. to a degree, and absolutely I think here once again it is just absolutely an attachment that shines. If you are not scared of burning more material, or rather burning more durability and then having to pay to sort of like fix the weapon up more regularly, you can of course opt for a compensator 3. But yes, that does include the burn rate, which essentially decreases the durability of your weapon faster, which means you'll have to repair it more regularly. But it does allow for a more powerful effect than the compensator 2. I prefer the compensator 2 over the 3, just due to the fact that there is some frugality that you can sort of like buy into here. And while it is absolutely worth it to go to a Renegade 4 instead of any of the other variants of the Renegade, a 2 and a 3, in this case I do not really see the benefit of that additional sort of stats that you get from the 3 over the burn rate and having to repair it. But you might feel different if you're a whale or if you don't care about the materials, and I would go with the 3 then. Now, in the case of you wanting to use the Renegade more for killing arc, and for that exact scenario that I was talking about just now, where you're engaging like a Rocketeer from super far away, or you're engaging the weak points on a Bastion or a Bombardier from super far away, or you're pulling, let's say, Wasps and Hornets from far away, or Snitches, or anything like that, the extended barrel is going to feel fantastic. You already have massive range with the Renegade. It has great poke potential, but the extended barrel is going to elevate that to the next level. The extended barrel, what it does is it gives you 25% increased bullet velocity, but it does also give you some more vertical recoil. Now, I haven't really said this explicitly during this video, but I think it sort of like hopefully comes by, logic by now. But because this is a semi-automatic weapon in terms of like you shoot and load and shoot and load, it's generally easier to control recoil because you do micro adjustments in between each shot. So having an attachment like this that has a massive benefit, like 25% increased bullet velocity, but let's say not too bad of a deficit in 15% increased vertical recoil, is okay, because we can definitely deal with that vertical recoil while benefiting from this lovely 25% increased bullet velocity. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to put bullets on target super fast, because your bullets get there lickety split, and it's also going to increase the range at which you can engage these targets. This little situation right here is really, really good at killing Rocketeers before they're even able to respond to you. If you put enough distance between you and the Rocketeer, you can rip them out of the sky before the Rocketeer has even kind of like figured out how to fly towards you and put some rockets in your anus. So I absolutely would suggest this for more the arc side of things and more for those medium to long engagements. However, I like both of these versions of the gun. So the TLDR here, best version of the Renegade for me, is a stable stock 3 or a stable stock 2 if you don't like the whole swapping issue. You want an extended medium mag 3 and then an extended barrel or compensator, depending on what your prey is, whether you're going for, humans or whether you're going for arc. Now, in terms of a budget version of this weapon, I'm starting to realize, like I do this with a lot of the guns, where I basically say, look, the budget version is essentially the gun leveled up to 4 and then just with more bullets. And this is true for the Renegade as well. The Renegade by default, without a muzzle and without a stock mod, is not a shit gun at all. And by adding more bullets to the magazine, you're basically just addressing one of the, I would say, complaints that I have with the weapon, and that's that the magazine size is 8 by default. So having more bullets available before you have to do a full mag switch is fantastic. So a common or an uncommon or a rare magazine mod on here will be great for you. Of course, being mag 3 being the best, but the budget version of this, just a common mag on there, would be fantastic as well. And you're still dealing with a really, really strong weapons platform. That's going to be it for the video, as well as the Renegade. Let me know in the comments down below any other weapons that you want. We're sort of like almost getting to the point now where we've covered all of them, but I can still make a change to some of the last ones that are coming out. But I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and give this video a like, give me a sub if you enjoy content like this. Tons more videos like this on the channel and also coming. Also bear in mind, I stream on Twitch, so come and check me out if you want to see me kill or be killed while drinking some drinks and beers and stuff like that and hanging out with the boys. I'll see you real soon. See you in the next video. Fucking cheers.